You are going on vacation. Congratulations. But how can you relax knowing that you will have a pile of Jira issues waiting for you when you arrive from your sunny resort? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can take a break from Jira without blocking the progress of the whole team. Hi, I'm Björn, co-CEO of Resolution, and welcome to this tutorial of our out-of-office assistant for Jira Cloud app. Keep watching to learn why vacations don't have to be productivity killers in Jira, what are the main benefits of out-of-office rules in Jira, how can you manage your teams and your own time off with these out-of-office rules, and how can you use apps like Slack, Outlook or Google Calendar to take a break from Jira. We are used to creating an out-of-office reply in our email every time we take time off for more than just one day. We don't want any customers or partners to think we are ignoring them. But we don't do the same in other tools. Why? Why is it unprofessional to forget about an out-of-office reply in our email and it's just fine to leave Jira unattended? If we don't do anything, issues will still be handed over to us. We will be expected to deliver, but we will fail to deliver because we are simply on vacation or not available. And as a result, plans will fail, customers and managers will be annoyed. This is a major pain point for team productivity, especially for distributed teams where there are many handovers. Out-of-office automations should become the norm in collaboration tools like Jira. And this doesn't apply only to vacations. There are also sick days, sabbaticals, parental leaves or childcare. Work is becoming more flexible and our tools need to adapt how we schedule our time, not the other way around. Users can leave, can relax, disconnect without worries. Users in the office can react to the absence. For example, they can decide that something needs to be postponed, or they can just adjust their ownership. Everyone can see who's taking time off when and who's in charge of instead. Managers can make more ambitious plans without getting frustrated, and customers get value faster even during vacations and holiday seasons. Different work streams can be delegated to different people. There's no one-size-fits-all, as we will see. You can use out-of-office rules for functional teams, multifunctional teams, or to ensure coverage if your company decides to put in place a 4-day week. But what do we mean exactly when we talk about out-of-office in the context of Jira? Part 1. The alert. Well, the first part works pretty much like the traditional out-of-office replies. A message is shared when someone reaches out. This is the first part of the out-of-office rule also in Jira. We schedule an alert saying, "Hey, I'm enjoying the sun with family. Don't expect me to see this issue until September the 1st. This message is shared whenever issues are assigned to us during the time we have scheduled. Part 2. Who to contact. The second part is different. Out-of-office emails have a second line that says something like, "For anything urgent, please contact my colleague Björn." Of course, if you are expecting very sensitive emails, what you will do forward automatically every email to Björn? Please don't do this. My inbox is already full enough. And that's what we do. We forward every issue to another colleague who will be available. We call that a reassign, and the person who takes a new ownership is a coverer, not me normally. First of all, let's install the app, which works with all versions of Jira Cloud, Jira Software, Jira Service Management and Jira Work Management. Once in Jira, let's click on Apps in the admin menu. That will take you to find the new apps. I'll search for Out-of-Office, select the app for Cloud with the orange logo, and try for free. And again, click on the blue button. That's it. Once it's installed, you can access the app from the user menu on the top right. And you can start creating rules. It's a simple check who has planned time off with the app. As a manager, team lead, or simple as a team member, before deciding to assign an important task, this is something what you can do regularly. Simple click on the palm tree in the left menu of any project, and you will get a full list of the rules with a summary. How many rules each user has, whether they are out of office, the time periods for the different rules, who's covering, and other additional details. Here you can filter by the user's out of office status, by which users have or don't have active rules, also by project or by username. Note that this list applies to all the instances. You can click on the number of the list to see every detail, including the message, which issues are being reassigned and who's covering. But let's see how to go about creating our own rule. We'll first create a basic rule as a user barbecue. I'm going to select out of office from the menu. Click on the Add New Rule button. First, we type when the rule should start. We can leave the end open. Next, we have to decide to which project this rule applies. By default, it will be applied to all projects, but you can also set a JQL filter. This is a bit advanced and we will look at some examples later. Finally, we need a message. When I save, I can see the rule with its details. I can click here to edit it or delete it. And I can also deactivate it anytime from the toggle. That's it. This is the most basic rule you can build. It's open-ended, it doesn't reassign issues, and it applies to every project, simply warning that I'm going to be in Mars for a foreseeable future. Now let me create a new task, because our diagnostic tools keeps failing and Barbie is a go-to person for our server maintenance. I fill in the details, assign the issue to Barbie and create the issue. When I view that same issue again, the out of office message is posted as a comment. And the detail panel shows that the assignee is absent for the time being. Unfortunately, I know that I have to reassign this issue. This might be enough in some cases, but I bet that you are hungry for more. Creating complex out-of-office rules. Barbie is going away for a certification training that lasts 2 weeks and my managers want somebody else to be covering for her. Let's make things more interesting with a more complex rule. Again, we create the start date. We set the end date for the end of the week after the certification training. Next, let's define which issues should be reassigned. I choose a JQL filter. Click on Custom Filters to build the query now and simple add the condition. Issue type equals service requests. Now we need to choose another user to be owner of these issues. Our coverer will be admin. I could also add more coverers, and in this case issues would be reassigned to the team members with the least reassigns. I write a message saying I'm in a training. Finally, we can alert other users that we are away when they mention us. By default this doesn't happen, but I prefer let everyone know that I'm away. So I'm going to select the option, add the label only when I'm absent, and the tag will say absent. Because technically I'm working, I'm not on vacation. But what happens with other issue types? Let's reassign also problems. Other issues can wait for me, which means I will create a second rule with just 2 small differences. Start date and end date are the same. For the coverer, I will appoint barbecue. And for the issue type, I will create a new JQL with the same condition, but changing the issue type. Now it's problems. As you can see, it's enough to add in the start of the issue type name to get suggestions. Then I add the message and the rest of the settings. That's it. Now I have two different work streams that will keep flowing during my absence. Checking reassigned issues. So what happens when issues are assigned to Barbie over the next days? Let's go back to the rule list and to have an overview. Besides having the details for every rule, there are some things what we can do. If we click on the reassign column, we'll see which issues have reassigned, when and to whom. If a reassignment fails, then it will appear in this tab. If we click on the blue icon, we can see a list of issues that were already assigned to Barbie. Here, she can reassign them or add covers as watchers for that issues. Let's reassign only ASD 3.6. Let's now open one of these issues that have been reassigned. What's the experience for the other users? There's a comment with the out of office message. The issues is already assigned to admin. And the history shows that the out of office app changed the assigning from Barbie to admin. On top of that, when someone mentions Barbie, in any issue there will be a reminder with an end date of the absence. Creating out of office rules for other users. Until now, I've created rules that apply to me, to my Jira user. But with admin rights, you can also create rules for the entire team. This makes sense, of course, from a team management point of view. Project leads can create rules for any team member in their project. Admins can create rules for anyone in the instance. For example, you can set up a permanent structure with rules that always reassign the work of a team member to the same team member like this. And you could have an exception for the video designer, because honestly, he's the only one that knows what he's doing with After Effects. Or you could set up a structure that assigns issues to different coverers based on the project, like this. Whatever you decide to do, this is the idea of using out of office becomes a team-wide or company-wide policy. You probably need an owner to set up right and constantly for everyone. Anyone with admin privileges can fulfill this role. Let's have a look at the app. In the app home, instead of adding new rule, I will go to the user administration. Here we find again the list with every user in the Jira instance and their rules. But first let's look at the global settings on the top right. Besides selecting the default for mentions, you can activate API connections with personal tokens for regular users. I'm going to activate this, it will be useful later. Also, you can let customers to have out-of-office rules. Now, let's see possible actions as an admin. You can add new rules to any user. You can edit any existing rule. I check Michael's rules, then click on 3 dots button, click Edit. I change the date, but I could also deactivate it in the toggle below. You can even make bulk reassigns to old open issues. Besides managing the rules, you also have control of the API permissions on the second tab. Basically, you can create new tokens on behalf of other users and select the scope. First, find the user, I'll select Barbie, then select the scope. Read or write is limited for that user in particular. Or admin, which allows to make any changes to any user rules through the REST API. The only changes you can make with the API, can't make with the API, are bulk reassignments. With Jira Service Management, it could be a little bit delicate because issues are basically communications with customers. Up until now, we have ignored this. We are going to look into two different aspects here. Sharing out-of-office messages with customers, is it a good idea? The quick answer, it depends, like always. And the other aspect is about delegating also approvals. Sharing an out-of-office message with customers. Here we have a ticket that has been created from the customer portal. It has triggered an out-of-office rule and the message has been submitted. Note that it's white. This means it was sent to the portal. Let's look at the portal. There you go. Now it's entirely up to you. But in general, if the issue is reassigned, this is oversharing. Somebody else will be covering for the customer problem, and that's enough for them. That's why there is a specific option to choose whether out-of-office messages should be shared with customers or not. Let's edit the rule and check the options at the bottom. Now I create a new request in the awesome Service Desk customer portal to complain that out-of-office messages are being shared over the customer portal. I will then assign the issue to barbecue, and when I reload, the message is in yellow again, indicating that this is an internal node. And if I open it on a customer portal, I don't see it anymore. That can make for a much cleaner experience, but obviously it's up to you, and it depends on how you are using the customer portal. Delegating approvals. As you may know, approvals are an important concept in Jira Service Management. As an admin, I'm going to create an open-end rule for Barbie. No end date. I'm not going to select a coverer, but I add admin as a coverer for approvals. And hit save. Now let's look at the request on the hyperspace traveling. It's a service request with approvals and the status is waiting for approvals. As a reminder, if we look at the workflow for this request, we can see that it goes into waiting for approval as a first status. This request was just created by Raime and it needs to be approved in the order to be taken into consideration. But what happens if the person set as approver is away? That could mean that a huge delay and some internal quarreling and blaming. We don't want that, but we are lucky to have a rule. Let's add Barbie as an approver and see what happens. I click on Add one approver below the status, click on Add approver and add Barbie. Now let's reload. The approver now is admin and not Barbie. And the history shows that the change made by out-of-office assistant. Note that here there's no message in this use case. But if you're evaluating the app and you would like to have a message there, let us know. It shouldn't be so difficult. I'm sure you can see how this use case can be a great time saver. Approvals can create a huge waiting times in many heavy processes. I personally don't like them so much, but if you have to deal with them, make sure at least that you are not waiting for nothing. Out-of-Office has an incredible powerful API. And we have already seen how admins can activate it for every user from the general settings. But what can the API do? Head to the Swagger Hub link. You can also click on the link that we added to the rule list and it will take you there. If you're a technical person, you will love this. But if you're not, don't be scared. We have out-of-the-box integrations that we have built using these API. You can skip to them, but I do recommend staying here to fully understand all of the options that you have with this resource. Who knows, you may be interested in requesting a developer in your team to build a custom integration. Looking at the documentation, as you can see in the documentation, the API has two sections. At the top of the page, there's a section for admins. They can read any user rules, add rules for any user, modify any user rules, or delete any user rules. At the bottom, there is a section for average user who can read their own rules, add their own rules, modify their own rules, or delete their own rules. Simple, right? To see any of the details, you only need to click on the method you like to explore, and you'll see a sample JSON file with every parameter. How you can use this resource, it's entirely up to you. But here are some possibilities. You can connect your in-house HR system to out of office. Every time someone has a request for a time off approved, the out of office rule is activated. This works best if you always reassign to the same people. But you could also read the information from every out of office rule and display it in a different system, like Power BI or anything else that can read API calls. If management asks for a dashboard on team productivity during holiday season, this is a good place to start. But perhaps you don't need to do any development because we've created an app for Slack and published out of office with Zapier. So you can integrate it with thousands of other apps without a single line of code. Let's have a quick look. With Zapier, you can connect many different systems that you may be using to manage time off and vacation requests to out of office. Let's look at the most popular example that many of you are asking for, the Google Calendar. Connecting to Google Calendar. So I have opened an account on Zapier and I'm in my dashboard. What I want to do is connect Barbie's out of office calendar in the Google Calendar. With this Jira instance, where you can see that I'm logged in as Barbie. But let's start on Zapier. I go to Zaps on the left panel and click on Create a new Zap. I search for Google Calendar, which shows me up here. I select an event, in this case New Event, which is an instant trigger. Now I have to connect to the Google Calendar account and authenticate to Gmail. I consent to Zapier accessing Google Calendar. In the next step, I select the right calendar. When I try to test, I may get an error. This means that there are no events for Google Calendar to test whether the trigger is working. Let's move over to the Google Calendar to create a test event. Click on any day, add a description and save it. This test event doesn't have to be an out-of-office event. Now let's test. It may happen that Zapier doesn't find the test event immediately, so don't be afraid to retest. In this case, it worked. Here I can check that it's the right event. It has the same summary and starts on October 11. When we can click on Continue and look out of Office Assistant for Jira. Then select the event, add or update absence. In the next step, I'm asked to sign in, then prompt to enter a token to authorize access. Here you have the URL pattern to find your own out-of-office page. I already have a tab open, so I'm going to click on Create REST API token as Barbie and click again to copy it. Then I paste it and click on the huge orange button. And the window will close if the connection succeeds. Back on the Zap editor, click on Continue and re-arrive to the action setup. For start date, let's map it with the event begins variable. There are two different variables with the same name, both should work. For end date, let's map the event ends variable. For the message, I'm going to replace the default with the event summary. Under Out of Office Event Filter, I will look for a variable event type. And for the filter description, I already have the default out of office with lowercase o, which is exactly what Google Calendar wants. The rest is up to you. I'm going to select all projects and admin as a cover. Let's test it. And we can see that the rule was successfully sent. But it hasn't been published because our test was not an out-of-office event, so it was skipped. Now you're ready to publish your Zap. I could choose to transfer existing data, but what I'm going to do instead is move over to the Google Calendar to create some out-of-office events. Barbie is based in Madrid, and she has an awful lot of bank holidays in the fall, which we need admin to cover for. So there goes Columbus Day. Remember to activate the Out of Office tab. This will allow to automatically decline meeting invites. Let's keep going and create another one for Dia de los Muertos and a third one for a random religious bank holiday the second week of November. Now, if we give a minute and go back to Zap history, we'll see that the Zap runs 3 tasks. We can access the details, but most importantly, we see that back in the out of office, 3 rules are already there. Deleting absences. Cool, we have 3 holidays. But plans change. A holiday can be extended or shortened. The Zap we have created will also work if you want to change dates around. But it won't work if you cancel altogether. And that unfortunately also happens. Let's create another connection so that I can delete the Google Calendar events. It's really the same process. I click on Create a Zap. Again, I have to select the Google Calendar as a trigger, but this time the event will be Event Cancelled. Continue, and I connect again the same account. Continue and select Barbie's calendar. Continue and test the trigger. This takes a couple of seconds. Then you can hit Continue and move over to the action in Out of Office Assistant for Jira. Here I need to select the other event, Delete Absence. Click and Continue. Connect Barbie's account. Hit Continue again, then start setting up the action. The mapping is the same as we already saw, but with less fields. Start date, end date, affected projects and filtering options. That's all we need to make sure we delete the right stuff. Now I can click on Continue, test it, and if everything goes right, you can publish. Now let's delete all these rules in Out of Office. So on Google Calendar, I just click the delete bin. Columbus Day, gone. It helps if we wait a few seconds between each deletion. Dia de los Muertos, gone. And this other random bank holiday is also gone. Now I'm going to make the Zap run. You can also just wait for a couple of minutes depending on your Zapier plan. I go back to the Zap list, click on the 3 dots button next to the switch and hit run. Then I will see that Zapier is working. After a couple of seconds, it's already found the 3 events. And as you can see, it keeps looking in case anything else was deleted from the calendar. Let's close the window and reload the page in Jira. Voila, the rules are gone. Using templates. That wasn't that difficult, right? Well, it can be even easier. We have prepared tons of Zap templates that allow you to jump right in. Just look for Out of Office Assistant for Jira and Zapier and browse through the different options. Don't tell me you don't use Outlook, Teams, Slack, Google Sheets or an HR app like Personio. Clicking on any of these templates will take you to a Zap that's already mapped. You only have to define your own rule details. Creating a Slack connection I will explain in another video. That's all. I hope you enjoyed. This video will end the post-vacation depressions of many of you. Because coming to a team that is working tidy and with no stress is very different to coming back and fall into a very stressful situation from day one. Remember, in this video you have learned a lot. What the concept of out of office means when we apply it to Jira. What are the main benefits of out of office rules in Jira and how you can manage your teams and your own time off with out of office rules. You also learned how you can use apps like Google Calendar, Outlook or in the future Slack to make a break from Jira. See you in the next video. Not too soon, I'm on my way to Mars and won't be looking at my Jira board for a couple of months. Thanks for watching.